Okay, good evening, everyone. Sorry for the late start. Here we are. Okay, we'll get started with the mission statement first. CCAC works together to put children first. The committee focuses on open and honest communication, improving effectiveness and accountability, identifying systemic issues, and advocating for appropriate resources. In collaboration with Frederick County Public Schools leadership of special education, parents, FCPS staff, and community members, the committee strives to facilitate positive changes in the delivery of special education services and the success and achievements of students with disabilities. We don't have anyone for public comments this evening. Okay, so then we'll move on to chairperson comments. One thing that I wanted to share is when I had reached out to Dr. Dyson's administrative assistant with the dates, asking about her possibly joining any of our remaining meetings for this school year, that was not able to happen, but they did ask that as soon as we know dates for next year, her calendar obviously gets booked up very quickly, but to set those dates, even if they're tentative dates, so they can put some holds on our calendar in order to facilitate for being able to attend one in the fall. That was that. The other is the resource fair. I was there early in the morning. Thank you so much to those that went the night before and set up. That were there at, I don't know, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning and took their children with them. I think that was you, Tara.
Like 7.
Okay.
You can protect it.
But it looked great. It was set up beautifully. That was the first time I was ever in that building. It's incredible. But there were so many vendors and so many things going on. Even my daughter came with me. She mostly sat with me, but she did go with Jen to look at the dogs. She thought that it was well put together, and a compliment from her is really hard to get. So kudos. No. Okay. She said. Okay, so then that takes us to the approval of the notes from March 25th. If you haven't had the opportunity to take a look to see if we needed to edit anything, take a moment now. Otherwise, we will move forward.
We have some feedback.
Okay.
Point of order. I do have notes on our feedback on the notes. Yes, tired, thank you. On page 4.
You have the notes up. Do you have the notes from last? Okay, just making sure.
It's under new business. Fourth goes down.
Maybe the pages are wrong?
No, discussion, next steps for CCAC on topics for useful behaviors versus absenteeism. So absenteeism policy. It's not versus. It's just school refusal behavior and absentee policy.
Or that one?
It's and instead of versus.
And I have another one. I do not have another one. I see it is changed in the notes. I thought it was is not, no, it is not, I'm sorry. And FAPE-related services are defined to include parent counseling and training. Is that what that says?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'm good, thank you very much.
Any other feedback regarding the notes? Laura?
Yes. There are separate pieces to these notes that have not been included. For example, I did a PowerPoint presentation regarding the school absenteeism. Would that be included as a hot link within these notes, or does a hard copy of that document go with notes?
We can include it as a online. If we want to add it, also the notes are meant, I mean, spiel, which you did in the IP meetings probably, is that they're meant to be a scenario, but since it was actually presented, we should include it.
I'm sorry.
If it was just about discussion, then it's like a summary, right? But because we presented it during the meeting, we should include it in, I think.
Yeah, you just want to be careful about, if you're going to call it a presentation, it should have been
It should have
provided in
been
advance
sent ahead of
because,
time.
yeah, are you following that? Yeah, the open meetings. Right. So,
I think we should keep it on our shared drive and make reference to it, but I don't necessarily think we should post it because we didn't present it prior to. And that's a Maryland Opens Meeting Act.
yeah,
Thank you.
But yes, and you've sent it to us, right? We've included it, we'll put it in our folder.
Where was it? I sent it to the second week
Okay, we'll find it.
of April.
Was it sent by email or chat?
Oh,
Both
All right, we'll include it in the CCAP folder.
chats. And all the attachments. It was on.
If there are no other comments, we need to have a motion to approve with the changes.
I motion to approve
With the changes.
with the changes.
Sorry, threw the prompt you there.
second.
Jake was first, and Laura was second. So that takes us to updates from RC Tech Subcommittee. So we'll first start with budget, Sarah and Jen.
No, we didn't vote.
Oh, we didn't vote? Oh, my God.
All in favor, I said.
Changes, never mind.
I looked back at the changes with.
Any abstentions? Not voting. You're saying? So 13.
Any no names and a common abstention? One abstention.
No, we're good.
Are there 14 or 15 of us?
There's 15.
14, yes. Okay.
Okay. Now, are we recounting?
Yourself, God's
So then it's 15 yeses?
No,
we have one
abstention.
14.
Okay. I was like, wait, are you saying you forgot to vote? Now, budget.
Gary, you want to talk about? No, sorry, what do you want to do about that?
Sure, so, we're working with the Jessicas. The Jessicas. There's two Jessicas, one is in charge of money and one in charge of grants, and we work with the two of them together.
Let's just say
Jessica.
FCPS budget and grants.
Okay. So we're working together with Jessica and Jessica to prepare for the next grant cycle. Everything was sent to them the best that we could at this far date without the board that will be here in the fall. a proposed budget to go forth in the MSDE grant paperwork. We've answered some tweaking questions for them so they can get things as detailed as they need it. Working with the current grant year, we are approaching where we'll be doing our amendment with the two of them. Because what we've done is we've worked to spend all the money in the categories that were set forth in the grant that we could use the way we wanted to use them. So getting the printing done, paying for things for the resource fair, the office supplies that were originally budgeted as just office supplies help cover like new member stuff. Since we were gonna have that cost, we used that to purchase office supplies for the retreat. So we can have like our own little office supply stash for our committee to use for the retreat, other meetings, so on and so forth. Now we're gonna be doing our amendment to move the remaining funds around so we can cover any additional purchases we may have this year and or presentations. The events committee is working on trying to coordinate having a public community educational parent-friendly event in June. So we're going to be trying to take the rest of that money to cover cost to make that.
And the grant, this grant goes into the fall.
This
So there
grant
is that
goes into-
overlap.
It's their current,
So, yes,
Yep.
we're talking about the current.
Goes
There
into
is that
September.
overlap, so it's not, we're gonna make the amendment, but it's not like we're rushing to have to spend that money.
The purposely trying to spend all money as it was, so we only need one amendment.
So this is this year's grant. We spent down what we could and we are.
Now we're going to work on the
to
amendment so that we can spend
include
the
all the remaining
remaining money.
ones spent.
Yeah.
By September.
Okay.
And have you, really us, have we been asked to submit next year's grant yet?
It's all done.
That's what we said, that's the first thing.
Okay,
she
that's what I thought
mentioned.
she did
The first thing she
Okay.
mentioned was.
Did we, is it similar to last year's? Did we look at it?
So we structured it the same as last year. We tried to be a little bit more generic and then we got trouble for being generic. So we had to be a little more specific. So somewhere
I
in
always
there, there's a
think-
happy medium. So we don't have to specifically put a speaker and like we don't have a speaker and we have the information.
Do one of us need to sign it or were you all able to sign it?
The Jessica's said that they would let us know when there was a point if we needed someone to sign it.
Yeah.
We're working on signatures.
Yeah.
I just want to see it before I sign it, just saying.
It's not-
Well, I don't,
Okay.
I can ask
We're
the
waiting on
Jessica
the
to
last.
send us the most updated version, because I like created a sheet for them and filled in the blanks on specific questions they had, and they were putting it all into the correct paperwork. So I have to see like
It's
the
not finalized yet.
correct paperwork to look over. I like filled in the blanks rather than like updated who's on the board, filled in the blanks of everything that we knew and how we were still like current date. I think it was like, I had less than 10 days to turn around at March.
And then it's not submitted either, so. Anyway.
So I'm guessing we'll get to
So
review the whole thing
summarize,
before it leaves.
Next year's grant is in progress.
Correct.
This year's
Still
grant,
being
we're
worked
gonna work on doing them, and now that we've spent all the money, we're allowed to spend in the areas we approved.
Did the team, Justice, really feel that the way you're amending it is going to cover those other?
We're going to them to go over what we want to do.
Just a couple areas. Like,
It's just moving a little bit of money, like for instance, the amount of money allocated to cover the website was not sufficient. So that has to move. There's some things that we need to do.
And you have, no, there's that 10% rule, right? You can go over, okay.
There's just a lot of back and forth to make it happen.
Looking for such a small budget, the 10%'s not that high, right? So, okay.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is that you can go in categories, you can go over by 10%, but it's not that much, so. Okay, thank you.
My next.
Yes, student voice is next.
Okay, so Student Voices met back on the 11th for the first time in a few months. And that, what we covered is in the chat I just posted. But basically what I wanted to do is kind of get everybody back up to speed because we hadn't met prior to this month's meeting. We hadn't met since December. So it was a little while for sure. And it was a bit of a challenge because student engagement hasn't been as consistent as I would like it to be. But we got a lot of good stuff done. First thing we did was just kind of review what we've already done. I already interviewed the special education department chair at Urbana. Dawn had emailed department chairs about the survey she was giving out, and sorry, can you explain what you're doing again? Later this week.
Oh, sure. I was just gonna do it when I went up to the action
Oh.
items. But, I am on Wednesday coming back to this building to attend the secondary department chairs meeting, for middle and high school. So I've been working with Heather to, Shavstock, is that how you say your last name? Shavstock. So I'm going to, they put me on first on the agenda. So I'm gonna come on up here and talk with them a little bit about to see first what they know about CCAC, and I have a short survey for them. But then also there is a document of a tentative Google form for students to complete, but I'm gonna ask for their feedback and how they feel that we could make it student-friendly and user-friendly, and what would be the best avenue in order to get the most students to complete it. I was also asked if I wanted to come to the elementary meeting, which is later in May. So I'll see how this first one goes, because I'm taking off work to come up for the afternoon. So we'll see how this one goes. But anyhow, I will be here to inform and gather, so this way we can move forward with getting more student voice. And the plan is, I'm sure that the document that I created has some very simplistic questions, which is multiple choice. So this way, if text to speech or read to needs to be used, but I've also started to make a visual one for students that may need to have it in printed form and possibly circle a few things, trying to make it as accessible to as many students, knowing that that piece may need to wait, but just so this way we can get our foot in the door with that.
Is it the form just to see interest level? Is it just to see what's the?
So the first couple of questions for the staff members are things like, do you know what CCAC is and what it does? So like basic things like that. And then moving on to how can CCAC support you with supporting the students in the building? And so there's like short answers there. The ones, so it's just 5 questions because they gave me 10 minutes. So I'm gonna have to talk really quickly and give them time to do that. My plan is as they're filtering in, that will already be, I've already sent Heather the link. So this way it can be up and shared on their devices. And as they're trickling in, they can do that part. And then I have hard copies of the student one that is in progress, but it includes things like, do you know who your case manager is? Do you know what your accommodations are? What accommodations do you use? Do you know what CCAC is, and that there can be student members? So things like, there's a lot of yes, no, and then there's one, what can we do to help inclusivity in your school? I worded it a little differently, but that's the gist of it.
Point of order. Can we see?
No, it is top secret information. Yeah, you can see it.
Pain, Dawn, the pain
What pain?
in here. Could we see it through you when you are finished, and or when is the projected date to get?
So I'm hoping to leave here with them all, there's evidently 30 with 30 or as many that come on Wednesday, to leave here with that information from them. They're going to give me feedback on the questions that I'm proposing, because they know the students in their building best and what would work the best and what is a reasonable task for the case managers or teachers to get out there to students to get some baseline information. So it is not some in-depth project. It is getting our foot in the door.
Did they connect with you at all?
Yes, about the posters and distributing, yes. And I don't know if there were 30 posters to be given out.
Yeah, I also gave her the contact information for the Judy Center, because I know she wanted it at the Judy Center and high school, so.
She said high school and Judy Center.
Well, I told her
However
that
you
I
all
was
want to
talking
do
to
it.
middle and high school, and I said about 30, and she didn't think that there were going to be enough, because she's requested that 2 go to each high school, and I didn't feel right saying, are you high school? you get a prize, or you high school, no, you don't get a prize. I didn't feel right about that.
Do we, as a group, want to discuss possibly reducing the number each job for secondary?
We were talking about the number of posters, do you have posters that were printed?
How many that are in Kara's car right now for me to give out
Hold on.
on Wednesday?
I think the way they budgeted it was,
Did they give you all of the posters?
yes.
Okay.
I think just to the point, you may have, I know you're coming there for that reason. You may want to front load it and remind them what you are.
Of course I'm going to.
Yeah, I mean, you're a teacher, I know that, but
I'm gonna
making sure that, like,
introduce myself, I'm gonna
It's
tell
like,
them
I'm
how
coming
I
here, you're
connect
coming here,
with
my
them,
lunch is
and
hard.
I do the same things they do in a different county, and I feel your pain. I'm gonna connect on a deeper
Put
level.
that empathy card out there, yeah, go for it.
But the posters that were printed were based on 2 per high school, plus a couple extra for hallways with high visibility. That's what was
You guys get
printed
the
and
last-
budgeted, if we can change
I
that.
printed 50.
50?
Yeah,
Okay.
I printed 50 because that was the max I could do with the budget that we had. So
Okay, so
because that
that
was all
should
the
be
run.
enough
Plus
to
Judy's
do
service.
everyone. I don't know if they're gonna be here.
Well, they won't, but it's one hour.
Okay. But then it won't be enough to give them out to elementary.
How many Judy's
I don't
centers?
think so. But we can always order.
I can check, I mean,
Yeah, I think the idea
there's
was having
probably at
enough.
least 7.
I think I was asked for like 20 or 40 and I went to Price Breaks to get the best price and 50 gave us the best price.
So
So I got
it
more
sounds
than
like there's
that.
definitely enough to give the folks that will be in attendance on Wednesday.
At least one.
Yeah, you're fine, there's 6 schools that have the Judy Center.
Right, and we have 10 high schools and how many
Megan said
middle
one for
schools?
each,
I guess
like
we thought we had
5
12
people.
high schools.
Yeah, 9 high schools, there's
9?
only 9 feeders.
We're made of 10.
I thought it was
I mean,
six.
if
One.
you're,
Yeah,
what?
now, if you're including Heather Ridge.
I feel like I'm
and Rock
coming
Creek
to
and CTC, I don't know what you're including, but there's only 9 feeders, so there's.
I think just.
What I don't want to happen is that the people that are here in attendance do not have one when they leave. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I told Meg. I made an executive decision on that.
Because the goal was 1 in every 9 people. Where the most common IEP was, so it should cover all,
And that's what I will share.
all middle and high school should cover with that 50 and give you leftovers. Right?
Will you be able to just grab, not from them, but like from whoever's running it, who was in attendance, so we know if we missed any high schools or middle schools?
The other idea is that if you don't do the Judy Center, you know, we have child find, and we're going to be split locations next year, one in the central office, one at Lincoln, so there's plenty of room. They'll have like 3 different conference rooms.
Tomorrow, I'll send out the questions of what I propose for this student voice. And then they'll give me feedback, and then I'll put that back out there.
The student voice meaning the ones that you're gonna be giving to the students.
I'm going to ask for feedback from the folks here, because I need for them to tell me what is a reasonable expectation with what is left in the school year to try to get as many secondary students as can do it. Like, I know some schools, kids are done on May 10th if they're seniors. So it could just be, well, they're going off somewhere anyway. So, but for the freshmen through the juniors, trying to get as many as we can. So I erred on keeping it shorter with more multiple choice. So this way, if they need to provide accommodations for the students to access it, it is not too cumbersome to do so with such a short amount of turnaround time.
And I'm sorry, did you ask also for that,
She asked to see what the questions were.
to review both surveys or just?
I'd like to see both.
You can see both. It's very much like, do you know what CCAP is and what we
Well, I
did?
mean, that's the whole committee, not exclusively myself.
No, I would send it to the whole.
Yeah, so.
I'm fiery tonight, Laura.
I guess I'll just keep going. Got a long tangent.
There was a lot of energy around it.
But no, those 2 surveys by Dawn were the big one, that we were working on, so good that we got out a lot of info there. In terms of like a local school level thing that I'm working on, I just got elected to leadership of a big student advocacy group within Urbana. That does like fundraising and community service stuff. I figured it would be cool to try and include our students with disabilities in that group. That's not something that we've tackled yet. I think it would be a fun, not a challenge, but I think it would be good to try to include them there. So I'm going to try and work on that. I also have tried to reach out to the Urbana newspaper for them to put an article out on unified sports. And it's been a little weird because the response that I've gotten is basically, yeah, we'll do that. And then it just like, I haven't been followed up with, it hasn't happened. So I have to figure out what to do there. But
I'm on pre-writing it until I have to fix it.
yeah, that might be what has to happen because I've gotten nothing so far.
Realistically, if you kind of give them the outline and they can spin on it, it might make it easier for them to actually push it through.
Yeah, that'll probably be.
Make it short and sweet, but yeah.
Marlena nominated a very specific student for the FCPS Impact Award.
I've been trying to put that student's accomplishment into 250 words. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
But that's fantastic. If that student could get recognized, that would be great for the committee. And then Drew was here. He wanted to reach out to the Urbana magazine to get them to publish something that he wrote relating to CCAC and special education, but I haven't gotten an update from him as far as that goes. I'm still waiting on. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have.
Who did you write that?
The Urbana magazine, we have a student magazine. No.
Questions before we move on to membership and Marlena?
Okay, that's me, not a problem. So, all right, we currently have 64 applications. Yeah, so with the retreat and the Find Out First going back out, and I think there was another event recently that really picked up. I know Partnership Success posted it, it's on our social media. Right now we have 64 applications, and what's really interesting is that it is a good mix of every category. So it's not just parents, we have community members, we have students not from Urbana.
Yes.
No, that's true.
And then, I thought the exec committee a bit, going through some of the responses, sort of highlighted some areas where we need more clarification on the application. So like we've had some middle schoolers who applied, also like some people who don't necessarily understand what category they're in. And like what exceptions, okay, is a grandparent a parent? If I, have to take care of my little sister, can I be a parent? So definitely things that when we put up the application next year, things to make sure we can add little explanations for folks, so they're not quite asking. And then there's under guidance. So again, all areas, a reminder for everyone on the committee who wants to renew. Even if we talk, if you message me or you message someone, hey, I want to come back, you still have to fill the application. Right, so if you don't fill the application, we're just gonna fill that spot, because that's gonna be the same as a non-renewal. So these are the names of all people who are up for renewal. Most of you have already filled out your application. I'm gonna say everyone, just so I'm not singling anyone out. So John, you're up for renewal. Tara, Christina, Dawn, Claudia, Danielle, Patty, Tyler, Laura, Rosa, Stacy, Joanna, Kim, Jen, myself, and then Jake and Nyla also have to reapply for student membership only for 1 year. And then our final sort of thing we've been discussing most of the community is ways just to be more welcoming and more interactive with folks. So something we've come along, especially in our subgroups, is that, hey, who does blanky blank? And then no one knows because you don't know what everyone's skill sets are, right? I need someone who understands OD+, And we have also we renew it request, but we don't know that because there aren't too many opportunities for us to talk about what our school sets are. It's on the application, but unless you're on the application committee, you're on the membership committee, you're probably not scrolling through 65 applications to try to see who knows how to do those requests, or who is on a different CPAC page, or who is in expressions. So our goal for the next year, once we get the new membership, straighten out, the new people come in, the people who are stepping down, step down, to create like a directory that's much more specific. At FCPS staff, I work here, this is my job, these are my specific interests, these are some things that I'm involved in. That way, when you come in, instead of looking at a bunch of random 40 random faces, oh, that's John. John is
Bless you. I'm so sorry for it.
Oh, you're fine. And then that way, we can see, oh man, I really need someone who knows blank, and then I can just go there and say, oh, that's the person I need to talk to. And then also we have the mixer, the meet and greet on June 29th. So not mandatory, just a fun way for folks to get to see each other in a very non-threatening, non-formal, right? I won't judge you if you order something that only adults can take.
Except for
I'm
gonna have to judge you.
We'll get you in that way, right? Discuss ideas, because a lot of the ideas that we have used to come from those informal conversations versus, and we stay up here and the superintendent of schools is up here, we're all quiet as church sounds, but you really have something you want to say. So that's the goal, to get people comfortable to share whatever amazing ideas we all have in our heads. Lots of membership.
Having a good number of student members or student applicants might be the best news I've ever heard.
That is, and then I think especially with still the holdover from, we just reopened it for students specifically in December. I think a lot of those students also reapplied again.
Sweet.
Yes, you later on if you got our application.
I will absolutely tell you if I received it. I just named everyone, that way I'm not just calling people out hey, Laura, how dare you not apply?
What are the current known vacancies based on the conversations you have with people?
Right now there are 7. No.
How did they pick up?
Do you remember?
I know that staff and parents, I think we have 3 staff. Yeah, 3. Well, one person just never showed up. I know we have 2 people.
Yeah.
And 3 permanent and 3 21. Okay, I lied, we have 8 now because one of our students is graduating, so he's also going to be. But I was thinking these staff. It's not just my head skills. My head is full of. So a lot less vacancies than we had last year, but as we've seen, that membership is a revolving door. So I think we still more just over the summer than we did during the actual application window, just because people in the beginning in September, August, it's not really fit my schedule.
And then full disclosure, when we do the committee, we make it 65, it could be 60 of them are community members. You know what I mean? And then we don't have any community member openings. So everything is driven by what the openings are, and then it's driven by what theater patterns
Yeah.
are here or not.
Absolutely. And also we had to reopen for students, so we went through the people who applied, and then we didn't have anyone else with vacancy, so we had to reopen it just for students because there was no one else in the pipeline. Versus, like you said, you get a lot of teams, you get a lot of parents. But thankfully this year, staff have really applied in greater numbers and students have shown a lot more interest.
I have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I did my application, but I didn't hear from you.
Alright, so for your renewal application, we don't actually start processing those until after May 15th. So after that, you can get either a letter,
Well,
I mean,
just
after
specific-
you will automatically get the letter saying, hey, welcome back.
Okay.
But for the people who apply, they'll either get a letter saying, hey, welcome to the committee, and then, of course, for the people who welcome them, you have to wait for them to confirm, to say, hey, I actually still want to do this. Oh, no, my life has changed in the 2 weeks since I applied, I don't want to do anymore. And then once you fill those positions, then you send out the letter to the other folks saying, exactly what the letter actually says, but just, here's a letter and then here's one select.
Okay, so I shouldn't have received it yet.
No.
So no confirmation comes back.
And there's no confirmation when you fill out the application.
And so that's the feedback we got earlier here to talk to see if that's something we have with Google, at least once it says that they think your application was submitted.
The same thing I'm gonna do for,
Yeah.
you can set up a response and so you get back every, like, a thing that says you submitted this on this date. Because I could copy these. I'm gonna have to check.
I have no idea
I'm not sure if I did.
there.
I'm not sure if I did get all of
I'm just talking.
I'll check.
Doesn't it just come up for
I mean, that's what I thought automatically, but I've heard from several people that they didn't receive, like, nothing happens, it just goes off into the abyss. Like, obviously I can see it, but there's nothing that comes to their email.
You know, I just want to people about that, but it was February. It was a while. It's there, mine was there.
Oh, I was just saying, that's, with Google, you can set that up, like, where there's like, send responses automatically. to the person.
And can I customize it, or is it
Yeah,
just like
you
that
can do it.
automated?
No,
like-
You have to actually edit it, and then in order then to submit an application, they always have to be logged into their Google account. Otherwise, yes, you're right, it may not have copies.
Communications, so Meg isn't here this evening.
I got a little.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Meg obviously isn't here, but she sent me a little blurb, for comms, just general updates, stuff we've done, questions we have. So comms is continuing to support membership by posting periodically on social medias. We have posted about the resource fair and have tagged vendors. Resource and Events Committee, please let us know if there's anything else we can do to assist this year, and we can't wait for next year's events. We're continuing to post events on social media as we're able. Thank you to Partners for Success for sending out info about so many great events. Posters are with Dawn to be presented to the department chairs on May 1st, which we already kind of covered. Yeah. Rack cards are in the process of being made, and once we have them, we'll work on getting them into the Judy centers and reaching out to vendors from the fair to see if they're interested in displaying them at their offices, workspaces, etc. Rack cards can also be requested for any events that a CCAG table might be present. That's all I had.
The resource fair, retreat events, so Stacy is also not here this evening. Okay.
So the research fair, as Dawn said, was awesome. It went really well. We had over 50 vendors participated in the gym at Rock Creek, and then we had other activities throughout the building, in the courtyard and in the cafeteria. We had a really great partnership again this year with friends, Evan Ronson and I can't remember Bob's last name. And Bob, Evan and Bob, they're both board members for Friends. They both were there to help set up, as well as volunteer during the day and then clean everything up. We also created a new relationship that we're hoping to continue to build with the Walkersville Volunteer Fire Department. They kindly basically opened the doors and loaned us a bajillion tables and said, take as many as you want, just bring them back, here's where they go. And asked if there's any other way they could support us in the future. So that was a great, Rachel reached out to them for us. And we opened the door to a great new, hopefully relationship we can extend. We really tried hard this year to use more of the building to give a little bit of more space so it wasn't as overwhelming and to kind of create more of a fair atmosphere. We're hoping to make it even bigger next year. Some highlights, I guess, would be that we had the balloon lady who came and was making all these cool balloon creatures for everyone, as well as providing balloon decorations. It was all paid for by friends. The Success Bake Sale completely sold out.
Everyone that came through the front door was given tickets so they could get a baked good item and water for each person, completely free. And then a donation was made by friends, again, to Success. I have to double check my email, but it was like 300 or 300 some dollars that's being donated to Success. A check should be in the mail, yay. And then we had Kuwait, children of incarcerated parents there with all kinds of phenomenal books for people to take home, and a space where you can come and read with someone or a nice quiet area. And then, of course, we had all of our vendors in the main area, and outside we had the fire department with apparatus so kids could see fire trucks and personnel in a safe space and meet them as people instead of men and women in these big cumbersome gear and equipment. So that was awesome. And I must say, both the sheriff's office and the fire and rescue staff and volunteers that came were very excited to be there and wanted to find ways to partner with us more. So that's a really, really cool thing. So because that's often, if you don't meet those people in times of calm, you meet them in times of stress. It's scary for your typical person, let alone someone who struggles in any way. So that was really cool. We had a lot of great volunteers come from.
I mentioned the dogs.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The dogs, we had all the dogs. I think, like, I couldn't tell you how many therapy dogs came in throughout the day. And of course, Julie DeRoder, our recently retired friend, came with her puppy, who was a big hit because all the kids wanted to meet Julie and her puppy. So that was really exciting. And Laura made custom t-shirts for volunteers. She's got one on display.
And Patty is live.
And Patty is on our live
Like
blog.
everybody else was supposed to do.
I think Patty is man.
Forgot.
Actually, I have all the shirts. I gave them all back, except you said I want to wear them.
I get mine.
I don't
Yours was
want to.
yellow.
Mine was yellow. So that was really exciting. So we could,
Number of attendees and stuff. Did you get that?
I have all that stuff at home. Let's bring it down.
You can just update your subcommittee form and all that kind of stuff, and that would be helpful for next year. Always good to compare year after year with, attendance and things like that.
We had some exciting visitors. Dr. Dyson came, as well as David Bass, Wayne Gallagher, and Terry Gilho. All came and
Oh, sorry.
and Dean Rose. They all came and different members helped show them around, show them how to use the space, what was going on. And we received lots of really positive feedback from them the day of. It was exciting to have them all come and show their investment in the work that we were doing. And so many of you came, whether it was to help set up or on the day of, and we greatly appreciate it. And that's what makes this work. And that's what made it awesome, was we had lots of people to be everywhere. That's the only way that event will work well, is if the whole gang shows up and participates. So thank you to all of you who took the time on your Saturday. We really appreciated it. Just a shout out for all of you to know the staff of Rock Creek School, their acting principal and their custodial staff, as well as the administrative staff that helped us while we were preparing, that you couldn't ask for better staff to work with. Like, I know we have amazing staff throughout the county, but you couldn't ask for better staff or for folks that were more concerned to make sure that we had what we needed. There wasn't anything that we asked for or considered that they didn't work hard to make happen for us. And so I think that just goes a lot to say about the partnership that we have with the school and the staff there. And I know Aaron looks forward to working the custodian that works on Wednesday. He looks forward to working on it every year. So he was fabulous. I don't think I missed anything else really in the general information. But we'll update everything in the folder. Yeah, I have more.
Typically, Patty, typically secretary sends a thank you. We use that to you. We typically send a thank you. At least to the custodian staff for their time. And if anyone wants to donate a gift card or anything like that, it's always appreciated but not expected.
I have all the lists for Stacy and Susan. Between that and going right into the retreat, and we had to run a tight turnaround. Stacy and Eric. It was
No, just something to add to the list.
Oh, it's on there. I've got a whole we got a whole list of all the things to do post. So that went really well. And I was hoping, I don't know, missing things. Anyone have any feedback about it?
I would say it's my first time attending the resource fair, and I learned so much just being there. So if you've never been and you're a member of this committee, I would highly encourage you to get out there and talk to all the folks that support, folks in the community in different ways. It was really cool to be there and meet so many people. My daughter's physical therapist was there, which was neat. So it was a great learning experience. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
As far as the other events going on, we did have a meeting prior to the research fair, and one of the things we discussed was trying to hit a sweet spot for a public community engagement event, education for community and parents. And the topic that we kind of settled on, I think we're going to move forward with, is nutrition, picky eating all the things that surround food and kids, because it kind of covers every child dealing with any kind of disability. At some point in time, every child struggles with something related to eating. So we're going to be coordinating with Brianna from PMC. Her and I got to meet at the resource fair, and they actually just onboarded a nutritionist at PMC. So it's kind of like pretty cool. So we're going to be working towards trying to identify a date in June to hit the sweet spot between when school gets out and ESY starts, to utilize an evening out of high school to do some kind of community engagement event about nutrition. So as soon as we have a little more worked out there, I'll let you guys know, because it would be great to have as many of you in attendance or to help that night as we make a plan for that. And then the retreat was just this past Friday. We planned it together. I will send out the agenda for those of you that were not there. We'll send the agenda out so everybody can see kind of what we did. We'll try to highlight it, because based on, people getting there for work, and then some areas taking a little longer than we anticipated, we adjusted our agenda a little bit. So I'll put some notes in there, and I'll put some notes together so you know what we really were able to accomplish. We went to Fox Haven Farm, which is a short 15-minute drive from Frederick County Public Schools. If you Google it and follow the directions, they don't send you the way Patty went. If your GPS sends you on the main road instead of on the dirt road. But Fox Haven Farm is a fully working farm that has a retreat and meeting facilities. It's a pretty awesome place. We met in a restored dairy parlor, and that was nice and big and open and beautiful. So that all of you are aware, and I have a thank you card with me, but he's not here. David Bass generously donated personal funds to supply dinner for that evening for all of us in attendance. So I have a thank you for him. We had a baked potato bar with salads and whole chicken. So it was pretty good. And then Jamie, what told you?
Sure. So we did take a little bit of time to do some committee development. So kind of similar to what you were talking about, Marlena, understanding all the skills that everybody brings to the table. We did something that's a bit of a rip off of Strength Finders. So we all just kind of went around and talked about what our strengths are, what we can bring to the committee, and we are going to catalog all of that information, and everybody filled out a sheet of you get me at my best when, or you don't get me at my best when, and so that we just can better understand all the contributions that everybody individually can make as a committee, and we'll share that information out. So we started with that. We also did an update of the crosswalk of the PBC recommendations. Of Jen was there and took more time than she committed, and really stayed and educated us on the status of all of the CPAC recommendations and PBC. Just went through what's done, what's in progress, what hasn't started yet, so that everybody had that context. And then we did another sort of brainstorming session and talked through what some potential recommended priorities might be for this next cycle.
No, Jen worked out her personal schedule to be there, which we have a thank you for her as well. And it was, we had all the copies of the most up-to-date crosswalks from Katie, she put that together for us. But Jen was able to really dial in and go, this is what's in progress, this is what's in planning, and give us a lot of really good details. She actually participated as well in the like Connections Getting to Know You Strength Finders, which was really awesome to learn more about her and what brings her to the table. So I think that was exciting.
And this is a lot of the material, brought lots of Post-it notes. We tried to make it interactive, so we're gonna synthesize all this information and we'll share it out.
And then, part of the goal was the work that we were doing about to build the committee connections is something we can do again in that August, September timeframe as we're onboarding new members. The existing members and the new members can do similar type of work together and we'll be able to create a living document that is a place where we can capture the information shared. So we have a place to go to look for resources and stuff.
So we'll want to make
We'll
sure
want to
we're
coordinate
partnering with
the
member committee.
So forward over some of the work that we did that will inform you. Super fun. And thank you to everybody that came and everyone stayed and helped clean up, which was awesome. And Fox even said if we ever need anything, let us know. And Jen came in the pinch for us, and her LLC covered the cost of the rental of the retreat facility for us. So that was amazing. And they also gave us a very nice discount because of who we are and what we do. And kind of let us come in and do whatever we wanted to do in their space. It was a very welcoming place to go. Anybody have any questions about that? Thank you.
It was extremely well organized.
Yes, very well organized and tasty.
Ready? Okay, so cameras in classrooms. Probably most of you saw the BOE meeting that was the clip with Dr. Marco and everybody talking about starting a task force or whatever. So I invited Dr. Marco to our last meeting, which was 2 weeks ago, and he came. And we had a lengthy discussion about how to proceed with finding out information about all the different opinions people have of cameras in classrooms and how amorphous it is and difficult. So he listened to quite a bit about how this committee produced a lot of research, mostly by Laura. And his take was that the ad hoc committee would take on the role of, well, I taped the meeting and the transcript. I have a quote that from him that says, so my vision for this is to use this ad hoc committee with your willingness and starting to bring in some other representatives such as administrators, et cetera. And one thing I had said to him is that I had tried to contact unions, and the response I was getting is none of the union people would talk to me without having some kind of connected relationship of some sort. It has to be official, which is fine. So that's what I told him, is that we're at this kind of impasse. So that's kind of how the conversation went. And we have a series of questions that he answered, and his office is, I followed up today, and his office replied that they're sending names of people who might be interested in working with us in the broader ecosystem of FCPS. And so my idea is to clarify with his office what that actually means now that people are having discussions about it, because a lot of people are having discussions about how the task force is going to move forward as an idea. So we're going to have a meeting in our ad hoc group next Tuesday and hopefully have some clarification from his office and talking to people like Troy and Jennifer Bingman and seeing exactly how everybody thinks this is going to move forward as a multiple people doing research. So that's kind of where we are. The ad hoc committee will meet next Tuesday, and I'm hoping that we'll have a chance to talk about our understanding of Dr. Marco's questions on the broader topic of cameras in the classroom and different things about, how negotiations happen with unions, how to take into account all the different stakeholders. One thing that I brought up with him is that I've had two areas. One is around our kitchen table at my house, and one is one reaction from people that were on surveys that Laura had found details from around the country, the 4 states that have cameras. And one person on their survey said, well, why aren't we talking about using this to help us learn what works for kids? The conversation is all centered around what is going to protect us from danger or accusations, which is great. But on the other hand, if a teacher has something that works in the class, why not bring in a provision that they can contact the principal and the parent within a given range of time, a day, a week, and just have everybody look at it together before they erase the tape. Why lose the positive, just to protect us from the negative? Anyway, we had a really productive conversation, and I anticipate pulling a lot of that together to be able to post to the members group probably Wednesday or Thursday after the ad hoc committees had a chance to talk about it. And the other thing is that he suggested that Marlena be co-chair on the ad hoc committee as a teacher representative. And that's what we did after he left the call. We officially all agreed Marlena's co-chair. And I don't know, Laura, do you want to say anything about action plans or what possible, some of the logic we were talking about next steps of finding other places around the country or surveys or?
Well, we found, I found other states, in addition to the states that we've already researched. And the additional states are Nevada, Florida, Alabama, and Louisiana. Nevada was kindly taken by Marlena to do the research on, but each and every state that already has cameras established is not a bargaining agreement. State unions are actually illegal. The only representation they have would be for providing resources, but there are no protections for teachers in these states, which is very disheartening in my opinion.
And actually Nevada has an entity, so Nevada has a Senate bill, so now the entire state is required to have cameras in certain classrooms. The thing about Nevada is they do actually have unions. It is a collective bargaining state. So the research for Nevada is very interesting because they're going to relate much more closely to what we have in Maryland. So that bill was passed a year ago. The first cameras won't be installed until July of this year, and then like a phase, like high school is the first, and middle school gets it, and then elementary years later. And so they've already, even in the bill, they've already put like little pieces in it, which I think that if this idea was introduced in Maryland, I think teachers would, or staff, and families would be more open to what this bill has versus what West Virginia has, or what Texas has. Because like Laura says, there is no protection really for staff. And even as a parent, right, you really have little control over who is viewing your child. And then like one of the feedback I got from talking to one of our committee members who's an expression is about things that kids with sensory stroke. All right, so now there's videos of your child taking all their clothes off. All right, who can watch that video? Who has access to that? How long are recordings going to last? Especially things like expression from that, like kids where that happens sometimes in pretty regular basis. And depending on age, at least that's how it's communicated in your class. Like it's a pretty regular thing. So the bill in Nevada has much more protection for student families and staff, which hopefully once this task force gets together and they all get gives what the staff want, what the parents want, what the community want, and we put those elements together. But when we spoke to Dr. Marco, he said that he really, like, he needed a model, like he enjoyed at least how how West Virginia did it together. Not necessarily word for word, but how they're able to go from, so they had very similar situations like Maryland, the Fredericks, where there were specific incidences, and this was a response to those incidences. And so they put it together relatively rapidly versus the research and thought it's been a decade. From when they started, the first bill was first introduced to the board, to when it finally got approved, and it still needs several more years until the cameras are actually active. So it's been a very interesting process comparing Aurora's research and what the new research is going on.
So I guess you probably will have to wait until next week to get in the chat, get a little update, and then, and forming a plan for, how we're gonna proceed over the summer, because this is gonna be a whole summer project.
Also on that note, someone from the Brooklyn News Post contacted me, like last week, was it? Just asking if we've been involved in the task force, okay?
But it went straight to voicemail.
We sent a very generic response back that just said, yes, we were aware of it, that the directors had asked us to be involved and hadn't been informed officially yet. That was it.
We're gonna clarify with Dr. Marco and.
Okay.
Kara, did they say like how they found out about it? Was like based on the DOE meeting?
No, she didn't. It was pretty quick. Just wanted to know my opinion. Of course, I did not. No, we were aware of it and we were involved, the task force about that. Yeah. So, but if we learn more, we want to share more at some point, we are able to, but usually we're pretty neutral across people, but we're definitely involved and aware, so.
Well, I'll get it clarified and post something.
Yeah, perfect. No, it's good to hear. I was nice to see you.
Oh, he got right back to me and he was right there.
Okay, fantastic.
Jamie, are you ready for the candidate survey?
All right, so the DOE candidate questionnaire was posted on the website. All but 3 of the, I believe, 17 candidates replied to the questionnaire. So those names are listed on the website, but there's no link to the questionnaire because they didn't provide a response. So early voting starts this Thursday and runs through May 9th. And then, of course, election day is on, the primary is on May 14th. So we do need help from the communications committee to continue to post this and to push this out through whatever channels we can. I think it's only been posted once or a couple times, so we can repost. That will be helpful.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that's all I have on that topic.
You know, one thing, I write a monthly column in the news journals in Emmitsburg and Woodsboro, Walkersville, and I put the address in. It's my column's commentary, and I always write about mental health of some sort in May. So I put the link to the DOE survey in there.
Awesome. Thank you. Spreading the word.
Okay, so next is Board of Ed comments, and since David is not here, he did send his apologies, he's traveling right now. So I guess that means we move to director's comments.
Hey, good evening. So the first thing that we have for director's comments is, we've talked about this a couple of times, but it's good timely information. We just got our report card from the state, and if you can spread the word about the survey, it'll be great. We're not hitting our participation mark, both for our little ones, 3 years of age to 5 years of age, as well as even our school age students, as far as the amount of parents participating. So
I can and I will. I might creep over that 10-minute time that they gave me, but.
well, I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll probably tell them about the survey, but feel free to add on to it. ESY is there again. Yes.
Wow,
That's
yay.
great.
I got the email a month ago, like, are you serious?
Well, I mean, yeah, there's no longer Elevate, so we don't have competition. People need. Yeah. So in the latest updates for the BOE sessions, we did have a presentation on the 10th That was when our lovely Partners for Success, Issa and Rachel, came to present with Dr. Bingman. And of course, our ongoing recommendations as we work through the PCG audit are available for review. Some of you all, thank you, were able to participate in the first round of the online IEP RFP review. And so we can't share everything right now because it's still confidential and we're going through it, but we did have some vendors submit for hopefully systems that will work out. We're now going to round 2, which is an interview process, and they also have to demo their system for us. And so we have a collective mix of folks that are going to be participating. Thank you to Tara and Jamie. And then some of the things more in depth about the chart that Katie and I have created in the past about the recommendations you all have made and how they align to the audit and where we're at. Some more details if you just want to read these. But some of the changes that you had asked for this year's recommendations were a focus on MTSS systems and processes and increased writing and math interventions. So a couple of things that we've done this year is we, of course, continue to push out our Bowman OG Plus series so that we can get more staff trained. We also partner with Marilyn Zecker so she could do her multi-sensory math training. And then we also had department chairs and literacy specialists trained in paragraphology. Beyond writing and math, we also have pushed out training for visualizing and verbalizing, which is by Linda Bell. And we also are in the process of getting Talkies PL pushed out. And Talkies is another version of visualizing and verbalizing. It's another comprehension strategy, but it's typically for our students that are either younger or even our students that may be taking the alternate assessment. I got trained in both as a teacher many, many years ago. Another thing is research and implementation about inclusive practices. So we've kind of shared some of this in the past, but our coordinator for inclusion, of course, was hired this school year. She's been working on putting preferred research models together. There's a couple of schools next year that are going to be doing some co-teaching book studies and really have worked with her to help target their co-teaching practices, but then we're going to go back to building out our inclusive framework. So it goes beyond just co-teaching. As many of us know, that inclusion is a philosophy, and it is about how you live and breathe what your school looks like daily, not just that you provide co-teaching. Another one you all requested is creating a family-friendly document that explains the structure and responsibilities of each position and how those positions work directly or indirectly with schools. We created this at the top of January. Talks about the various roles at central office going to our department chairs and their responsibilities. What our IEP facilitators do, what our teacher specialists do, and what Child Find does. All of our various roles that we have.
This posted online somewhere at this point.
Yep, it's in board docs.
But it's not like on a special ed page.
Oh, the roles and responsibilities, yeah, it is. What'd you say, Laura? It already is. No, yeah, we have an internal. You all don't have access, but there's well for FCPS staff you do, but we have an internal special ed website.
But it's not like if I just go to the special ed page.
That's a good point. We can add it. If, yeah.
I only say because I printed it out at home. My husband was like, "Where'd you find that?" I was like,
"Yeah, that's a good point. We can post it on the external. Lisa Newcomer can do that. I'll write that down."
Something secret. It's very helpful for those.
Sorry, I've had a full day of DOJ site visits, so my brain's a little fried.
Yeah, no, it's helpful because like you sometimes like in the meetings people say, "Oh, the specialist is coming," or the so-and-so's coming, or like, what do they do? So, okay, thanks.
The last two that we're sharing tonight with you all, and we'll continue to unpack your recommendations and things that we've done to help address those needs, is we, of course, some of you all are participating in our staffing work group. So at this time in that process, we are about to have our third meeting next week. Is it next week? May 8th, whenever that is. I think that's next week, yes. And so we have now that we've unpacked all the information about where our current staffing is. We even had staff groups do the research about what models are out there. We have reached out to other districts about within Maryland how to use staff. And so now all that information is being synthesized, and now we've broken the groups out into job alike settings. So I'm taking the lead with the team doing specialized programs and specialized schools. So if we had a specialized program or specialized school, how would we staff it here, and what should those allocations be? There's a group doing just teachers and looking at the appropriate model there. There's a group looking at our SLPs and itinerant staff. There's a group looking at SIAs. And so they're taking all that information, and then we're going to present that. And hopefully also, moving forward, be able to work with budget to determine what is the most feasible approach to being able to roll out a new staffing model. So that's a huge endeavor. And
Is that
then,
impacted by the blueprint or the department?
so the blueprint, it does talk about high quality implementation. It doesn't necessarily tackle your special education staffing, but in order to provide high quality instructional implementation, you need staff. So it will help fulfill the needs of the blueprint for sure. And then the last one is improved behavior support in our district. And so some of the things that we've done this year, and I've helped because now I'm kind of like crossing both special ed and student services, is we have formed a year-long behavior professional learning cohort. And so we have full day and half day trainings where you are basically, every school had to select a behavior representative. Most of our schools do have behavior support specialists, some of them don't. And so some of them may have picked their school counselor, some of them even picked their assistant principal. And we did a needs assessment at the beginning of the year with them. And so these are some of the topics that we really helped tackle, so that not just central office and certain staff have the skills of behavior management, but also that we can continue to build capacity at our school level. So talked about principles of behavior, antecedent instructional strategies, talked a lot about data and individualized supports, but even how do you respond to students in crisis? That was one of the things that they wanted a lot of support on, is how we know we adopted MANT, but also how do I actually verbally de-escalate a student that might be in crisis? And then we also ensure that was grade level appropriate. So we have two different grade bands. We have the elementary folks that always meet with us, and then we have secondary. So we even create scenarios so that they're appropriate. So like, these are the scenarios you deal with in elementary. These are the scenarios you deal with in middle school and high school. We had our last session last week to really wrap it up, and they put together a problem of practice strategy, and each group presented. And so we plan to carry that out year over year moving forward, so that we'll continue to build our capacity of behavior supports here in FCPS. And that is everything from the directors this month. We will be back at the Board of Ed in May, by the way. I saw the carpet being installed, smelled the lovely glue, and so that will all be aired out by the time we meet each other again in May.
Partners to Success.
So we first want to say that we have finished the website on FCPS, and we finished our video, but still getting edited, so it's going to get posted under our section on the website. Just a short little what we do type thing. And I think our goal still remains the same of trying to get the word out about who we are and what we do to people. So whoever you guys are meeting with, we would love for you to share our flyers with them and with the schools. And then we, this month, have a depression in teens webinar. In 2 days. In 2 days. In 2 days in the month of May. And other events for caregivers. And then we are currently working on summer and we have a lot coming for the summer as well. Too much else to update. We enjoy working with, Kara and Stacy on CPAC and all the fun. Yeah.
I have a question about your webinar or seminar for the question. Is that only for, like, are you only doing that for students or families or students with special education, or is that for everybody, or everyone who wants to learn about? Because that is a question from a parent, so that we really need to, especially when we're doing research that can on AP. But if there's a dropout, and you have to say what program you're in.
Yeah, it's just.
So it's fine.
Yeah, you can other for general. It could be for teachers, it could be for friends who have the community anyway.
Right, but very important, this is like one on one with every.
Can I give you guys a shout out? Next week I'm going boxing because Rachel is our awesome. And I'm gonna go to the mom's MMA night where you get to go learn how to box and play with boxing gloves and punch bags for an hour.
Yes.
Watch out, they're giving me looks. It's so cool. And another really cool thing that, the two of them, I think, the boxing was your project. And then the other project, I think that was really cool, I thought this year's movie project, I think with Isa's, is going to the Baltimore Orioles, which I think is phenomenal and amazing to be able to host our families, to go to a ball game and be taken care of, so. They've been doing some really, really big stuff, and they're very quiet about, like, shooting their own horn, so I'm shooting it for them.
Second to.
Because they're really adding on some awesome programs, really, and doing a lot for our families in the community.
I'll share that I did let them know that we thought they were doing a fantastic job when we came to the resource there, because we get so many calls, information referral, and families looking for resources. And they have so beefed up that Facebook and all those information there because they don't have access. So it's been an incredible resource for us to be able to hand out with them, and feel like they have some options. So,
A little bit on random
so we
places.
love it.
Yeah, on random in places, and people are like, why are you talking to me from Parks or Success? And I'm like, ah, they're great. I love it.
Whole business. Scheduling the presentation from ACT, if that's something for next year. Yeah, I think we just feel it about that. We got the calendar, the same as the other one, with the calendar.
So one of the things that we started as a retreat, and then the events committee will take the input from it, and we'll be working with everyone. Jamie got signs, and we put up a paper for every day of the month, and ideas of activities and what might be cool, and ACT is on there, so the events committee will be taking all those things, and I guess we'll be reaching out to find out when they're available to come and present to us. But I don't look for it to happen in May.
Yeah.
But more in the next school year.
Okay.
But yeah, it's on the big list of all the cool things that we want to bring to us.
Okay, so we're revisiting officer nominations, and at our last meeting, sorry, I'm gonna go back to the notes because I do not want to misspeak. There was a nomination for Laura as secretary, and there was a nomination for Jamie as co-chair, and Jamie indicated that she would think about that. Have you thought about that?
Ready to pull a slack in?
Yeah. Yes, I have thought about it. Patty's saying yes. Okay.
Will you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination. Thank you.
Or your comment.
And then is there anyone else that would like to self-nominate or nominate another committee member for either of those? Okay, so we'll be voting next month. Oh, don't forget that when I personally, that in your subcommittee, there's the folders, like within the folders, to make sure that you're posting the notes from when you all meet. So this way we can all see them. It's okay, if you forgot, because I forgot, and I just put the student ad hoc ones in there. So,
Yeah, there should be a plan in this, and just try to update it, so as we pass on next year, we can pick up from it.
Where is this in?
It is in CCAD.
there's a subcommittees folder called 23-24 subcommittees. And then when you open that up, there is a 2024 cameras in classroom folder.
Okay. I'll get it. I can't find it all.
Yeah.
It's also very helpful to do that so that the secretary can refer to those notes as she's feverishly taking notes at the meeting and misses something and go on their site.
Then all the variety will come up. I get it.
Okay.
I have a home workspace account. So.
Lots of best, so I was searching.
Yes, I believe the last, I think Laura, you
We're gonna have a meeting with
So,
student
meeting
services.
update.
right?
I'm sure.
Would you please do the, thank you. So this is a quick update. I have a clicker. I've never used a clicker before.
At least 24 hours.
Story.
Beyond that, so they have to be uploaded to Board Docs.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Well, we'll use it as an informational,
It's just your notes, right?
it'll just be for the group. You should click that like right here. Thank you. Thank you.
And maybe too far away,
Too far away.
try to click it there.
Thanks, Marlena.
Hey, I don't know.
There you go.
So we met with Student Services on April the 11th and in attendance. I'm just gonna, it's all self-explanatory. The only individual who was unable to make the meeting was Ms. Janet Shipman. But as you can see, Mr. Falls, Ms. I'm sorry,
Kimberly and Lynn were there.
Ms. Davis, and as far as the community, Ms. Capitosto, Ms. Caps, Marlena, and myself. And we had a fairly good meeting. In fact, we talked so much, we have to have another one. They provided us with handouts, as you can see above. One of the things that stood out to me that they shared was the 2023-2024 year to date was special education students were 26.4% under chronic absenteeism for Frederick County data.
Should I put that this?
What is that in their relationship to like
Yeah.
other counties and other?
Well, they give us a
states?
chart that shows like over the last several years where the whole population is and where special education is. And there's a trend where it's peaked and it's coming down and they kind of run parallel. There's chronic absenteeism is usually higher with your special needs population, like you would expect. But it is coming down, just not as fast as your
Yeah, that's,
typical.
that's something to point out that it's not rebounding as much after COVID as the other populations.
Coming down.
We don't know in relationship to other counties, possibly, like.
Yeah,
Really
they-
high in the
ours
state or
is
really
going
low in
down.
the state, yeah, just curious.
Just
Yeah, they
Back
also
when
compare
references.
special education though to like other demographics, like, Canadian students, farm students, different races and different demographics as well. So that's on the chart.
I think it's good to know that it's not like everyone
like
else
we're
is
not
doing this and
doing
we're
that.
doing this. Everyone's following this.
You are not unusually high in absenteeism.
No, I don't think.
You are in other counties.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
I think our record is pretty typical.
And since Tara and Marlena are both here, who have attended the meeting, they can speak up as they please to do so, fill in anything that I do not have on this PowerPoint. What we ended up getting was, another thing that stood out was the functional attendance assessment to identify causes of absenteeism, root cause worksheet, attendance intervention plan strategies, and attendance intervention plan. These documents do not provide processes for special education students specifically. They were only tailored for the all population. Discussion. So we discussed, we discussed a lot, so I tried to summarize it as best as I could with the unfortunate disconnect between the schools, the parents, and I guess central office, as the majority of schools are not making distinctions of chronic absenteeism, school refusal, lawful and unlawful absences, and truancy. We did discuss the following processes as should be done, but unfortunately, a lot of our schools are not following this protocol. The first thing that should be done is a phone call to parents or guardians. Then a letter is sent out from the PPW. Janet Shipman, as I said, was not in attendance at the meeting, but Dana Falls had relayed that she said that the letter should be personalized, addressing the specific student situation. And then the parent guardian meets with the school attendance team, they develop a plan, goals, and incentives for the student. And again, we are speaking in the all, the collective all, not where special education students are concerned within this topic.
This would be like, you're looking at systems and supports. This is how it should be done for anyone, regardless of your status. If you have an IEP, a 504, or nothing, this is how it should be handled when it looks at just straight attendance. Does that make sense to everyone?
So what we also discussed, as I said prior, was the disconnect, as schools are not clearly communicating to parents, guardians, the differences of the lawful and unlawful absences and truancy. And I have been given and provided many examples of communications that have repeatedly shown, citing the black and white policy and the numbers of the policies, and then they conclude with a threat of truancy. Then we talked about the Truancy Reduction Board. Only 6 cases have been recommended for charges, and legislation to establish truancy problem solving board is being worked with or worked on. Do you remember?
Unfortunately, one thing that you guys spoke about was the Truancy Reduction Board sounds like a hammer, but what they're really trying to do is they're being brought forth chronic absenteeism more than truancy. And so they're more trying to become a problem-solving entity to look at what the root causes that causing the absenteeism and how to support them. So when it's come down to actual truancy that needs to be followed, which is actually parents not bringing their kids to school, parents not enforcing them to come to school, people just leave them out of school because they could care less, and not working with this group who was really there to support the family and student. Only 6 cases have been filed, period. And they're looking to create a problem-solving board, like a group that would work together to identify what are all these root causes and how do we get to them, how do we find them before it gets to the point where they have to come to us. Like, how do we get a little more proactive about it?
Very well, thank you.
Can I say one other thing?
Yes.
When it comes to that whole idea, a large, I would say, topic that came out of this conversation is the word truancy and chronic absenteeism are being used interchangeably by some folks. They are entirely different. And they're entirely different. And that was something loud and clear from everyone that we met with, And all of us understood they're entirely different. But some of the communication going back and forth as it comes down and out to parents, it's not showing that they're entirely different. So you may have a child with chronic absenteeism, but they're receiving a form letter stating, you've had this many absences. Please know, this could happen because of this law. And what was very expressly explained was, that should not just be a form letter. It has been told not to send the form letter, take the form letter and add to it. So it should say, like, for instance, dear Mrs. Fowler, I'm writing regarding your daughter Sally. She currently has this many absences. We are aware of extenuating circumstance, health problem, whatever, like the correct way to phrase it. And we are currently working with you, and this is the current plan in place, or we want to work with you, or whatever.
And we're on this, part of
And this
the
is
tier
where we are on the
system
tier
too.
system. And here's the like legal verbiage I need to include. And it should come from your administrator. Prior to receiving that letter, like Lorna said, Corby should have gotten a phone call, say, hey, and normally it would come from the PPW or the administrator saying, hey, Corby, I know we've been working together. We've already met, or we're getting ready to meet. I need to send you this letter as part of the steps I have to do. Please don't take offense to it. It is a required documentation to document what we're doing. That step isn't happening a lot of places, which is leading to getting these letters in the mail that look like my child's being threatened with truancy, when really they have chronic absenteeism. So that is getting skewed, which I think is a key thing that. Exactly. So that's the key thing, and when we brought that attention and showed information to that point, Mr. Falls was like, whoa, this is not how it's supposed to happen. We have work to do on our end. So I think that was a very positive, I mean, it stinks that there's this confusion, but I think it was very positive feedback. It is separated out. Chronic absenteeism and truancy are different. Chronic absenteeism is not lawful, but it's still considered after so many days of even lawful absences. It's an issue of chronic absenteeism. But truancy is like mom just deciding not to get out of bed, or Sally says she's not going to school, and Corby goes, whatever, rock and roll. I'm not going to Corby. And I was made very clear that they should be being handled differently. And communication should be personalized. And Mr. Falls, was very clear and spoke about when he was an administrator, and he was trying to model this is, what should be.
But unfortunately,
It's
there's
not
still
happening
the
the same.
disconnect is happening.
It's not happening the same way everywhere. There are some places where it is.
Yes, there are some.
It's just some.
Correct. So then we talked about Dr. Jonathan Dalton, and I put all this information up there because not everyone knows Dr. Dalton. He is currently contracted by FCPS. They started a contract with him last year as he provides the highest level of consultation to respond to students with the highest needs. We were told that he does monthly consultations with central office staff. This is central office staff is doing it on behalf of the schools needing the support. Is that correct? And unfortunately, he does not work directly with parents and guardians. And that is due to budget.
No, he works with the itinerant therapist.
There are.
They fill out a request, and basically central office staff will then divvy out that information to the correct parties based on his ideas. I do know that I worked with Lynn Davis on one, and I know they were talking about certain therapy that he's been suggested, and because I help oversee that therapist.
And when it comes to the monthly consultation, it's not like Corby it's not like they're coming in and saying, hi, this is Principal Tara, and I want to speak about Corby Fowler and her daughter Sally, and blah, 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 blah. It's literally from all over the county, the contacts coming together on a giant call or chat. And then they have a series of scenarios that are non-specific when it comes to school, location, or child. And they talk about this is what the family's struggling with, this is the child struggling with, the school's struggling with. And then advisement is given so everyone can learn based on one situation. So it's not individualized consultation, it's broad. That is why parents aren't involved in that call. It's not that they're being eliminated, but the current contract is for Dr. Dalton to do this with representatives throughout the school system. And they take real happenings and turn them into scenarios, much like if you're going into a school and giving a presentation about functional behavior, you might have an example that Tara gets up and walks out of the classroom for XYZ randomly without asking, and then when you interrupt, blah, 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 what's the function? Tara's not even up at lunch, she's going to the hallway to sneak food,
Well, there was a point-
so it's more scenarios.
There was a point of contention where one of our members felt that parents should be included within the consultation as long as it's met in general terms, not in specific not giving specific students' names. And I did tend to agree with her that parents should be involved with the quality of the services that Dr. Dalton can provide.
But right now, that's not in his contract because he doesn't want to work with individuals. It's all based on his contract.
I know, but
I just want to make sure it's
speaking to
clear.
the opinions of the.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's clear. It's not that FCPS is
Yes,
saying
yes,
no,
is not.
or Dr. Dalton
parents.
saying no, but the contract is the contract. And then the recommendation that's given to Principal Tara is look at these resources and go back to the family and take your team and look at these resources and so where you go. So they're using the resource and the limitation.
Right.
Eventually, the family is the key
Right.
part. And if you're working with the Truancy Reduction Board, the family is working with them hand in hand. So I just wanted to be clear with the family not being left out because
I was gonna get to that. Sorry, but thank you for getting to it. No, you got me good. It's all good. Next. And so these were some of the discussions that were brought up during, and Tara, please, you can also fill in again because I appreciate you. What we did was we talked about needing clear documented processes for special education students with an IEP when it comes to chronic absenteeism and at all. And if a student has an IEP, the schools, the PPW, the special education coordinator must reach out to the parent guardian to determine the causes of school refusal. For example, anxiety, mental health, bullying. IEP teams need to engage parents as partners in getting students to school. Special education students have diagnosis already. Documented absence intervention plan for students with disabilities. These are some of the things that we briefly touched on, but we want to talk about it more in our secondary meeting, as well as all the wonderful documents that I have referenced in the very beginning of this. Those documents were given to us the morning of the meeting, and we did not have time to review them thoroughly. So we would like to have the time to review them thoroughly before we meet in our second meeting. Next, please. Furthermore, we also spoke of the opinion that the schools need to identify key people, and we need to find out what the staff needs from period, what the staff needs, period.
Oh, I think mine relates, so, we didn't really discuss it, but in your previous slide, it talked about this summer, there's gonna be another training, but it's really limited, it's only 40 people, so they're trying to identify what staff have the most impact on students, so if we only get 40, like, that's not even enough for one person for every school. So what people would have the most impact on students in this situation? So probably PPW, the itinerant therapist.
Thank you. And one of the things that I continue to emphasize on is support for parents who are experiencing this with their special education children. Is related services is a necessary part of providing faith, are defined to include parent, counseling, and training. I put Comar as a reference in there. As with other related services, districts are responsible for providing parent counseling and training when the child's IEP determines that it is necessary for the child to receive. Second meeting to be scheduled. Thank you. And this PowerPoint will be available in the CPAC 23-24 folder.
You just put it on the meetings next time or something.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, put it in like the meetings folder. So you can just know like this is today's meeting. That makes sense.
I don't think I have access.
You can see that.
I have access to the general, but I don't.
Okay,
have
yeah, just
access
copy it
to
there.
this, Thank you.
Okay, so next is new business, and we're starting with comments from community members.
Numbers, everything?
Okay, moving along to FCPS staff members. Okay, student member
I welcome it again.
and parent members. Yes, Claudia.
No, I just wanted to say again, thank you for organizing the resource fair. I had the privilege to be with Don in the beginning and speaking up. And it was interesting to see the different types of families we saw, the kids. And I think the entertainment part this year was a highlight for the kids. Like my kid had his own magic show. So I think that was great. So I wanted to highlight that and that I saw, you know, Latino, Hispanic coming in, which really was great to see. So I think we have to keep up with the effort of reaching out and engaging more with the community. And yes, so I'm on board on working with that too and help. And also on the issue of absenteeism and truancy. After that meeting, what will be the next step? What do you
Until we
think?
get our second meeting.
Yes.
We can't predict the future, but I'm sure we'll figure something out. Do you have a suggestion?
Yeah, I think right now, one thing is information sharing so that, the service is aware of what's happening that they're not aware of. And so that we can be more educated on what is happening to try to bridge the gap from both sides. But I think it sounded like walking out the door that student services, like they had already identified several key things they wanted to communicate and help about. And I don't know, maybe it would be, I think it would be fabulous if it was to us having a resource for families that are struggling with chronic absenteeism or school refusal, a place to go and say, here are the resources within FCPS. This is how it works. Here's your contact. And I think this dialogue will open up the ability to create a solid resource potentially.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and the reason why I asked is because currently, we see, you know, as a kid, we see things differently, so to me, when I receive a letter, I almost died, like saying that I was negligent and all that, so I think there's sensitivities in there with the Hispanic community, so I think that we should take that in mind, to put up a package that is, you know, a response to those sensitivities.
Oh,
you know,
Well, I would say, I think it was culturally, I can tell you, as we having received one of those letters, I opened it and my jaw dropped.
Yeah.
Because I,
Language.
yeah, yeah.
I had to reread it
Yeah.
because of course English is my second
Yeah.
third language, so I was like reread it to see if I was
Well, that's where-
understanding what I was
Yeah,
understanding.
that's why your administrative and PPW team should know that you're not your primary language, and English should come to you, not just English.
Yeah, I mean, just acknowledge it should be a notification, not a judgment.
Exactly. And it should have been personalized, which it wasn't, and if it was personalized, you probably would have been less shocked, because you would have had someone stating something to you instead of just receiving a black and white copy and paste.
Yeah, and we did follow up with the school, and the school counselor said, oh, no, you're fine, but we still have that letter. So that was in the conversation, verbal conversation.
And they should have had that conversation before the letter, and told you the letter was coming, and not to worry about it.
Yeah, no, of course.
Exactly.
So anything that you think that as a committee we could do, further access conversations and that, and maybe having, I don't know, an event, something, I don't know, something that to reach, to increase awareness.
Oh, yeah.
You
Sounds like it's gonna be a hot topic for some public institutions.
Yeah.
Support the relationship.
Sorry, I can't hear.
So my big question for next year.
Thank you. Are there any, I'm sorry, we have 5 minutes, I'm going to stop it completely, but if there are any other parents that want to speak?
I just wanted to say that I developed a calendar for CCAG in Google. It's a Google shared calendar. I haven't shared it yet. It's a draft. I have only given access to a couple of people in there just to see what they think. I would like a little bit of feedback before I request permission to share with all. The focuses obviously are our monthly meetings, but I am also including Partners for Success events so that we don't have overlap if we want to try to say plan meet and greet and one of us is going to the meeting for progression.
Is it a Google Calendar?
It is a Google
We actually have
Calendar.
one, it just isn't updated well.
What?
We have one, CCAG, it's where we send out meeting invites and stuff, you would have a secretary and anyone can get into it.
Well, because we don't have it yet now, I developed it from scratch.
We do have it now, it just comes from you, it's just
Yeah.
that no one's updated, but there's one.
Yeah,
that
it exists, it's
because that's
part of
where we get
our,
our
it's
invites.
the CCAG email, it's meeting invites, it's just that we don't plug all that stuff in there, so we would need someone to maintain it.
I've built it up again. You get emails?
So like the meeting invites
The
come from
meeting
there.
invites, so once I accept them all, they all go on to
Oh, you
my.
mean at the beginning of the year?
No, I do it pretty regularly, I send out emails. I mean, you don't have access to the actual calendar, but we could
No,
give
I've
you the
never
link to the
received
calendar,
it.
much
I've
like
never
we could get
received
access to anyone's calendar.
I've gotten main in the very beginning of the year, each date.
It's our CCAG, I mean, it's the same as our email address, because we have a CCAG info email address.
I don't get monthly stuff.
I mean, I set most of it up ahead of time, occasionally the changes, but if you take on the secretary role, you can take it
So
over.
CCAG has an email address.
Yeah, we have a CCAG
If you have a
email
Gmail
address.
address, you have
It's
a
called
calendar,
calendar.
so that's the one that you've been,
Are you?
if you were to
But we
use
could
it.
share it as a calendar too, if anyone wanted to like have their own email address and the link in CCAG's email to overlap it, 'cause I have like 6 calendars on my Google. We could absolutely do that.
Well, I've done it, it's there, it's for everybody, and since we don't have access.
Well, that's what I mean, you're gonna get access.
Look it over eventually. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, rather than maintain another address as secretary, because you have to maintain 2. You have to, because you're gonna have to check emails, you're gonna have to do a bunch of things with that, like, it would make sense to just plug them all together.
Yeah.
It just needs to be updated more, because
Well, it does. That's why I took the liberty of doing it.
I agree, so that's fantastic, so
Thank
I just
you.
don't want you to duplicate work, I mean, it's gonna have to at this point.
It's already
You may be able to merge them, you can probably figure out how to merge them.
I know how to
You
do
can
it.
also, yeah, you could download all the events.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Subject to calendar.
Thank you, though. Yes. Good. You know, you already have them already like sorted out where it all is, and all you have to put them in there. Thank you.
I wrote this three action items. I just wrote this one down.
Take it.
We're up there. So someone can make a motion or we can have action.
Well, I wrote down for the action items, one was calendar review, which I now wrote that Laura's done something about it. And schedule a presentation from the act team, because that's still, and schedule Dr. Geisen.
Once we have some dates. If it sounds like we have tentative ones.
Exactly.
Okay, so next week we'll be back at the boardroom. And,
Goodness.
Yes.
I hate
and that will be
15.
our last meeting for the year. And then there is a community listening session at Lindenor High School, next Monday, a week from today.
What is our little get together? When is that get together? I'm gonna add.
That's June 29th, thank you.
So I think our motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Second.
Joanna seconded it.
Thank you. 17,
Unanimous. Awesome, thank you guys. See you next month.